My name is Eric Hammerstrom, and I am with the Urban Hockey Foundation. I am here today with Ice Hockey in Harlem, and we are at West Seneca Ice Arena in West Seneca, New York. Ice Hockey in Harlem has been invited by the Buffalo Sabres to spend MLK weekend in Buffalo, and we are here. I am joined today in the penalty box, which is appropriate, by Zainabu,
yes,
a legendary hockey mom with Ice Hockey in Harlem, and she's going to be nice enough just to let me call her Z.
Mm-hmm.
So Z, you have a heck of a story, and I think probably it illustrates the meaning of and the importance of ice hockey in Harlem, as well as the story of any family involved. And so can you give me a little bit on your background and how you wound up with so many kids involved in ice hockey in Harlem?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. My family, my name is Zainabu Sesay-Harrell. I'm a proud parent of 3 wonderful children, Ahmad, Amani, and Amari, in ice hockey in Harlem. My kids actually started in this program. I learned about this program. I'm a nurse by profession, and I had a coach as a patient one day come in, and he mentioned to me at my clinic in the Bronx, he asked about my kids, and then he said, there's this wonderful program called Ice Hockey in Harlem. So I turned and looked, and I'm originally from Long Island, so I'm an islander, and I'm like, ice hockey in Harlem? He said, yeah, look it up. And so I Googled it, and I learned about the program, and I decided to apply. And I knew that it was geared towards families in Harlem, and being that my family was actually in the Bronx, so I kind of hit it because I really wanted my kids in the program. Learned about the program. I met at the time our former director, Brad Preston, Mr. John Sanford, and then it was just like amazing. So my kids actually grew up in Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said you're from Long Island, and
Yeah.
I was going to say, time out, wait a minute, you're missing part of the story. So you're not actually originally from Long Island.
Yeah. So my dad is from the States, and my mom is from Sierra Leone, West Africa. So meeting all the time, living in different states, then we ended up in Long Island. So my mom, on a visit to Sierra Leone, went into labor and had me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. In the 70s, you could still travel 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
She was big belly. She was on the plane, and I came out a month and a half early, and so she had me there. My father feels like it was God's divine plan for my life, and so then I grew up in Long Island. I actually also, aside from Long Island, I grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So I went to school, Milton Hershey School. So I'm a big hockey fan from the Hershey Bears, from the Islanders.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my friend John Stewart will love to hear that. I have a friend in Upper Michigan named John Stewart, Stewie, and he's a goaltender. He's African-American goaltender who grew up playing in Hershey. So,
wow.
Yeah, John Stewart. And so shout out to Stewie. Stewie, you got another Hersheyite here.
Yeah.
Or is that the term, Hersheyite, or, or is it a Hersheyan?
We who come from Milton Hershey, we're called Milt. And shout out to Milton Hershey, because my son was playing for the Spartans. He plays hockey for them.
Nice.
The baby. Yeah. So we just fell in love with ice hockey in Harlem. Ice hockey in Harlem. Hockey, first of all, creates such a sense of community and family. I became so involved in the program that I started to kind of lead a parent group. We have parents who, we get on the rink, we get food and everything, and then I started collecting some of the parents, and I would have holidays at my house.
Oh, nice.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, because our kids were together. So when my kids came from Sierra Leone, Ahmad was only 5 years old. Ahmad is 18 now. He'll be 19. We got him in the program, and he was the first to join. And then, I wasn't too sure about putting my daughter, because I'm thinking hockey is just for guys.
Right, and then Ahmad is on the ice.
Yes.
Let's go over here. He's in the Ranger jersey?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay, so
That's Ahmad
here we go.
down.
We'll find Ahmad.
And he is the 2018 Willie O'Ree New York State recipient.
This is wonderful. He's in the
Yeah.
94 jersey, right?
Yes, that's Ahmad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did he get to meet Willie O'Ree?
Yes, he had a whole weekend with him. Willie O'Ree, he was with him. Ahmad, Ahmad is such a legacy for our family because of hockey. He's received awards, scholarships, camp scholarships to Cobbessy. He's at SUNY Brockport now. Hopefully
Wow.
he tries out for their hockey team, but he's a real athlete, and so he's a great student, great athlete, and he set the tone for the rest of my family. So once I was kind of afraid to get my daughter in it, and Mr. Sanford was like, sign up Amani, and I was like, a girl? And he was like, yes. And then when we just joined, it just transformed my life, my family. I would come after work, pick up my kids at 4:30, literally sit in the car from 4:30 to like 10 o'clock at night, feeding them, getting them to Lasker Rink, programs. It was just so much, and then family, and then we just became like a backbone for each other. And Ice Hockey in Harlem truly is like the United Nations of hockey.
Yeah, you were telling me about that yesterday. Just how many people from different countries there are. So please,
we have
tell our
families
listeners.
that came from, we're from Sierra Leone, Somalia, Ethiopia, Sudan. We had Saudi Arabia, we had Yemen, we have Germany, France, we have Sweden, we have Russia, we have families from the city, from African American families, regular American families. I mean, they're everywhere. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba. I mean, there were so many. Ice Hockey in Harlem, one year we did like a Christmas, a Christmas video, and all our kids got to speak in their different languages to greet people for Merry Christmas. It was wonderful.
Oh my goodness. This is fantastic. If I understand, Ice Hockey in Harlem has been going for about 47 years.
Yes.
And there's 150 kids in the program.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of countries for 150 kids. My
So
goodness.
many.
I know I met a young lady here yesterday who's from Sweden.
Yes, that's my daughter's
and
friend.
lives in New York now.
Yeah.
And this is just fantastic. We should talk a little bit just about the program itself. I know that today we've got Malik Garvin here, and he is the director of Ice Hockey in Harlem, and I believe he's down
Who
this way.
is a product of our program.
Yes, I think when he was like 4 years old, he
Malik
started.
joined our program at 4 years old. I remember meeting Malik on a train, taking a MATA program when he was younger, and he told me about where he was going to college, and then from then, like, he's our director, and he has just transformed the program. But the program was always amazing.
Right.
But just if people understand the opportunities that Ice Hockey in Harlem provides. All three of my children, Amari is also, because of Ice Hockey in Harlem, my youngest son got on the ice at age 2 with them.
Wow.
And he joined the team.
2 years old.
Yes, him and Micah, they got on the ice. Micah encouraged Amari to get on. I put him on the ice at 2. I
Wow.
used to come to the rink pregnant with him. I put him on the ice at 2.
So
he started playing in at 4.
So he literally started hockey in the womb. Okay.
And that's his world. Like, that is his world. But I mean, just the program is an enrichment program. They have homework helper. They do hockey education, hockey knowledge. They take you to universities to expose these variety of New York City kids to college opportunities, professional development, career development. Then you travel different places. You travel the world. I was honored they sent my kid to Canada for a week, and my kid played at Sylvan.
Wow.
And that transformed my son. It's just a wonderful program. The camaraderie. We meet other leagues from all around the country. My daughter went to Minnesota. My son in Maine. And people, sometimes my friends don't understand, like, why are you so connected to this hockey program? I said it's because it's so comforting. And from even meeting you all in Michigan, that's one thing that I think God really landed hockey in my family's, to be part of our dynamic. And look at my daughter now. My daughter's been coaching.
Oh, no, she's over.
Yeah, that's my daughter, Amani.
Right here.
With
Okay,
the
we're
blondie
going to zoom in.
locks. Yeah.
There we go. There she is.
So that's
And
Amani.
helping with the littles. Oh my goodness, there are some of the girls from Ice Hockey in Harlem.
Yes.
Oh, this is fantastic to see. Now, Z, I wanted to mention too that you brought up the Detroit trip last year. Last year, Ice Hockey in Harlem loaded 30 folks on a bus. It was a rainbow painted school bus and drove through the worst storm ever. And oh my gosh, that was just crazy. And so I drove down from Marquette, Michigan, 7 hours, through that snow and storm. Probably took a little bit more than 7, but got there and there was about a foot of snow on Clark Park ice rink. And so Michael Batinger of the Urban Hockey Foundation and I shout out to Michael. Michael would be here, but he's under the weather this weekend. But shout out to Mike. I showed up and Michael Batinger put a shovel in my hand, said, "Don't have a heart attack." and that's how I got involved with all of this. I heard that Ice Hockey in Harlem was going to be there. I had met JJ Velez before. And
JJ's a great man.
JJ is president of the board of directors of Ice Hockey in Harlem. And I think his story really fully explains like the importance of this program. JJ grew up in literally in Spanish Harlem. Puerto Rican family. And he grew up in Spanish Harlem, and
product of the program.
And my goodness, I know I'm a hockey guy from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's hard for me to even imagine what life is like in Harlem, especially in Spanish Harlem. JJ explained that the first time he saw someone shot and killed on the street, he was 10 years old. And all of those urban problems, that's daily life for a lot of these kids. And so the potential for bad things to happen for kids is horrible. And this program is a lot more than just hockey. They work with kids after school on homework. They have tutors. They have just mentorships. And then if the kids keep their grades up and go to all the sessions, they get to play once a week. And
we used to play 2 or 3 days a week, but things happen in New York with rink, ice time, but we live for that 1 day a week.
Yes, and so fantastic. I know that the rink is a Woolman rink, and that's actually in Central Park. Is that right? Okay.
Well, Woolman, it's on the other side of Central Park.
Okay, and so Woolman rink is kind of in a renovation and reconstruction right now, and so it's put some extra steps into the process of getting ice. So
we
it's
used
like
to play Alaska, right? So
Alaska,
and that's getting renovated under a couple of years, renovation, but that doesn't stop our program.
Right, and so that was one of the reasons that last year JJ put together a trip to Detroit, where they met with the kids from Clark Park, which is in southwest Detroit, Mexican town in Detroit, and it's a cool outdoor rink. It's really a neat place, and the guy who has kept that rink alive, there's been ice hockey at Clark Park for more than 100 years.
Wow, shout out Clark Park.
Shout out to Anthony Benavides is the guy who saved the rink when times were really dark in Detroit. When everybody heard about the bankruptcy of the city and everything, and really if Anthony Benavides hadn't stepped up and kind of become St. Anthony, if you would, to save that rink, he literally did. And so it was fantastic. There were 3 days of scrimmages last year. Kind of a really fun event was that the entire University of Michigan women's team came out and skated with the kids, and also a handful, half a dozen of the best hockey players in the country. I know my daughter was so jealous that that I was there hanging out with Mark Estapa.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mark Estapa and to my daughter Lexi. But
We had the men's team too. Don't forget about them.
yeah, the men were there, and Mark Estapa.
Yeah.
And Lexi, well, okay, yeah, I know your friends are all mad at me because I didn't bring you with me. But here we are. This weekend, we are here with folks from the Buffalo Sabres organization. And last night, the kids got to go to the Sabres and Penguins game.
Amazing.
Yep, saw a little bit of hockey history.
Yes. And I was honored. Well, even before we go into that, because of that Michigan trip was amazing. Shout out to Lisa Warren, Marshall Warren, who got drafted with the Islanders.
Yeah, our camera's right there if you want to say hi.
Lisa Warren, thank you. She's one of our board of directors. Marshall Warren, who got drafted to the Islanders. Lisa's actually from my hometown in Long Island,
Nice.
in Roosevelt. I found that out in Detroit. Her son is an Islander. I'm a Islander fan. But from that event, I mean, when I was so excited to find out that we're doing this again, and we're coming upstate to Buffalo, because I was always a Bills fan. And then when we came here to see what's happening this weekend, I was honored. Last night I found out my daughter was chosen to do an interview
Oh, really?
at the Sabres game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Amani will be viewed. She'll be featured with Darielle, two of our wonderful students. They're seniors who were interviewed last night at the game. But I mean, Buffalo was bustling last night.
It was
such a wonderful city.
it was packed. I
Yes.
think largely because there were so many Penguins fans there. Yeah, like
Shout out to the Penguins.
a whole bunch of people from Pittsburgh came over, and so I think I just made it a little bit tougher to swallow for the Sabres too. That the
Yeah.
crowd was so heavily influenced by Penguins fans, but then the Penguins goaltender scored a goal. Yeah, he stopped the puck behind the net, stepped out to the side of the net, sent it the length of the ice. It was the very first time ever a goaltender has scored a goal and an assist in a game. He had an assist in it was the second period, I think, and so he had 2 points, and it was the very first time a goaltender has scored 2 points, with one of them being a goal.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Grant Fuhr, who's on the board of directors of the Carnegie Initiative. Shout out to Grant Fuhr.
Mr. Fuhr, yes.
Yeah, Grant Fuhr. He got a lot of assists back in his Edmonton Oilers days when he
Yes.
had Wayne Gretzky and
Gretzky,
all the great one and all the other great ones on that
Yes.
team. Shout out to Wayne Gretzky.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
But yeah, this is really a fantastic thing because yes, in Minnesota and in Michigan, kids have access to ice more often than kids do in other parts of the country, especially in big cities, big inner cities. And we can literally skate every day. And and as we get older, in places like the Upper Peninsula, we might practice 4 days a week and play games 2 days a week. It's our high school, you're on the ice every day, and in Minnesota it's the same way. And what a luxury.
It is.
There are a lot of obstacles in the hockey world.
Yeah, but I want the public to know that hockey transforms families, it transforms communities. I was an advocate, so I want to shout out some people. Go Sports USA, Eye to Eye program, Ray Mendez, Mark Messier, who my son was an ambassador for him.
Another one on that team with Grant Fuhr and Wayne Gretzky. Oh my goodness.
My son was recently ambassador for the goalie for, sorry, his name. The guy from Sweden. I don't remember his name. But he came. Mr. Robin, I forgot. But I was on my block association. I'm one of the board members, and I'm on the community board also. But I was a real advocate. So we had a program that was coming to the Bronx. We were going to have the largest ice rink in the U.S. in Kingsbridge Heights, which is 2 blocks from my building.
Wow.
Yeah, from my home, 2 blocks. And so I was a big advocate for it because I knew what that rink would do to the community.
Now, is that outdoor rink?
Indoor rink. It's
Indoor
going to be
rink.
a nine rink ice
my
arena.
goodness.
And so, got some funding for the city. We had it with the previous mayor. I was an advocate for that. At the time, our mayor, our Bronx Borough president was Ruben Diaz. We actually had a rink in our area of the Bronx at Van Cortlandt Park, our outdoor rink. And then they took the rink down, and then we didn't have anything. The only rink we have is in Castle Hill. We have rinks at the private schools like Fieldston, Horace Mann, but
Right.
we don't have any public rinks. So I am a big advocate for rinks in communities because I know that it increases the community engagement. There's so many opportunities. There's so many programs that want to work with youth in the community to expose them. So for instance, like Eye to Eye program, actually is in line to ICE. It teaches kids in our community, in the Bronx.
To make the transition.
Yes, and now we go, and my kids were coaches. Ahmad is I made him a junior coach for Eye to Eye program. Amari is one of their skaters. My daughter, we're going to a program with North Park and Eye to Eye and Ice Hockey In Harlem next week. And so we
Wow.
get rid of that fear by teaching them how to roller skate, rollerblade, and then we moved them from that to ice. So we were a big part of a program before COVID with Mark Messier, Eye to Eye, and we got the kids from rollerblading to the ice skating rink. And I mean, the kids, the PS 86, it was a wonderful program. So I'm encouraging people, join your community boards. I'm encouraging families, advocate to get rinks, support your community, support the, whatever, who helps fund to get rinks in your community, support it, because it builds and it develops skills. It shows the kids discipline. They have something to look forward to. And again, when we went to Detroit, I learned there was how many careers in hockey.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh my God.
You had a wonderful visit, Rico Phillips. Rico Phillips. Shout out to Rico Phillips,
yes.
who was the Herb Carnegie Award winner, NHL Herb Carnegie Award winner, and Rico works with the Canadian Hockey League, the OHL. And he was fantastic. He did a presentation about all the jobs you can do in hockey, including wearing a headset and talking about the game. And coaching. He just encouraged the kids to realize that if you love hockey, every type of job is somehow there in the hockey world too. And I think the reason that he mentioned that is that it's a very heavily white male sport, and so most of the people, of course, who wind up working in the game are white males like myself. But what we're really seeing the game change. From Kim Davis as Vice President
Yes.
in NHL on down. She's great. Shout out to Kim Davis.
Shout out to you, Kim Davis, because I am a Kim Davis. So in that room that day, all the parents talked about how Kim Davis was a hockey mom.
Yeah.
And so when I see her, I believe she's the CEO now of the NHL or the president.
Vice President.
Vice president. So when, I remember when they made that statement, I remember how people turned and looked at me because, I don't think anybody goes harder than me. We have some moms here from, that are sisters from Harlem, moms from France and Germany. We were a family here, but people know how I go hard for my hockey programs. I go hard for hockey advocacy. So when I met you guys in Detroit, I mean, even now, like a couple months ago, my son at his school became the ambassador for Henry Lindquist.
Oh my goodness.
Lindquist came to meet the kids at, shout out to
Henry.
Kip College Prep, NYC,
Nice.
Kip NYC College Prep. So Ahmad became the ambassador when he came there. Mr. Robbins, who supports us, that the kids get to skate at his private rink. So I was just like, God, what is this? Like, these opportunities, these people, I mean, it just goes on. And so when I saw Mr. Phillips' presentation, my son, I take this to the Lord. my son, my little one, says he wants to go pro. So I support my kids in anything that they
Sure.
want to do in life. But when Amari said that, and like, you know, he's really going hard in his boarding school, I said, okay, you know, I told Malik, my dream for my family is to work in ice hockey in a capacity that they work as a team, whether someone is working as a recruiter, a manager, a booker, an agent, whatever. But I was like, I can't see my life without hockey.
Oh my gosh, you know, and that's something that is really special because you know, we've talked a little bit about how much change has happened in the game, but my goodness, it was change that needed to happen, and you know, we have more players of color. The women's game has grown incredibly. We now have coaches, bench coaches, even, you know, a female bench coach with an NHL team.
Yes.
We've got coaches of color, and now HBCU.
Yes.
Will, you know, Tennessee State.
Yes.
You know, shout out to Tennessee State.
Yes.
TSU will
Nick,
be
Nick, the hockey director, Nick, who's from New York, from Brooklyn.
I know Nick. Nick came to our Carnegie Initiative Summit.
I tried to get a mod in his school. Because I was like, I want a mod to go to HBCU.
Well, now you know, Nick. Now you know.
This
now
is
you know.
Ahmad's mom.
But yeah, Nick's great. I interviewed Nick last year and then asked him to come to the Carnegie Initiative Summit in Toronto for All-Star Weekend, and he did. And I know he and Dante Abercrombie are working really hard to make that dream a reality. So.
But we're not going to forget also, like, because sometimes people are like, hockey, why do you guys like hockey? Not people of color. You guys, especially are African. I'm like, well, people forget that hockey, you know, there was a whole hockey movement that started with enslaved people who lived was in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
They were there with 12 African Americans.
Seaside, was it not? Was it Seaside?
Yes. African Americans who were enslaved, and they used to skate on frozen ice. So when they have like the NHL, thank you NHL, when they have the they have during around Black History Month a mobile van that goes around to teach people about the history of hockey and the influence of African Americans in hockey. And then on top of that, then I always like to embrace the immigrant appeal in hockey of the different nationalities. So, you know, I've talked with our directors, our former director also, talking about the diversity of hockey. Mike from Detroit, you know, he supports a hockey team.
Oh, Michael Batinger.
Yeah, Michael B. I call him Mega Mike. So he supports a team in Kenya.
Yes.
Ice hockey in Kenya. We're trying to get sticks to Ghana.
Yeah, and so we were just in Costa Rica. I work with Mike, Urban Hockey Foundation. We brought equipment for the youth program in San Jose, Costa Rica. There are 50 hockey players in the country, 2 referees, 4 goalies, and 15 kids in the youth program. And we brought 8 full bags of equipment to donate and skated with them. I played in a tournament there, and I live streamed that in November. And just a wonderful thing. Actually, they have a lot of inline development, but very little ice access, which makes sense. It's Costa Rica. But there's a very nice rink there, and they hope to expand it. It's at Castillo Country Club.
Nice.
Up on top of the mountain in San Jose, and the people are just so enthusiastic and excited. Now the one thing that I think has been fantastic, you mentioned immigrants, has been the growth of immigrants playing the game in Canada. It's been significant, and there are organizations like Hockey for Youth. I don't know if you're familiar with.
I've heard of it.
Okay, Mo Hasham, Mozin Hasham is fantastic, and he runs Hockey for Youth, and that's literally. He says that's how he became Canadian, was learning to play hockey. And so now he has put together an organization that helps new Canadians learn the game and gives them a chance to learn to skate and the basics of hockey, learn to play. so that they can become part of their town. Because, you know, the fastest way to become part of
Sports.
a town is to join in the hockey team, literally, in
Yeah.
Canada. You know, and Mo was blessed. He had a neighbor, Mrs. Brown, when he was a little kid, and his family was brand new refugees, actually, to Canada. He'd play with all the kids out in the street. They'd play street hockey after school every day. And then when the hockey season started, the kids were all at hockey, and Mo was the only one out in the street playing, you know, by himself, playing hockey in the street, shooting on the goal in the cul-de-sac. And Mrs. Brown came out and said, "Mo, why aren't you playing hockey with the other boys?" And he explained that they didn't have any money and they couldn't afford any equipment. So Mrs. Brown brought Mo inside and into the basement, and she had 4 sons and all of their old equipment, and she fitted him for a full set of hockey gear, and then literally registered Mo to play hockey because his family couldn't afford it. And so Mrs. Brown, you know, like this is, and now Mo is making that difference for thousands of kids across Canada. And you know, there are a lot of Mrs. Browns, and we forget how many people have really made a difference in the hockey world. I think it's just fantastic. We've got, you know, like this is the Buffalo Sabres here, creating a relationship between littles and littles over here. Look at this. Look at this.
And
this is great.
I'm loving. I see all the logos. I see the Michigan State on their jerseys. Ice Hockey in Harlem, the Sabres. I mean, it's just like, oh my God! It's just, and, you know, I see my kids with their Islander jerseys, the Rangers jerseys. It's just, and everyone's Buffalo, West Seneca. You guys are so welcoming and
so
inviting.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I told the moms yesterday they're so festive. When I saw them yesterday, and I'm like, okay, let me come back. They gave me, like, they charged me, and you know, it's just like, as we're speaking about embracing in Canada, that's Allegra. That's one of our players, young lady. Her family's from Germany.
Oh my!
She's been playing. She's been on the ice with us since she was like 3. You know, and she's in high school now. But, like, you know, Canada. You know, I take my hat off to Canada because they really embrace various nationalities. They engage them so well through ice. I see the opportunities, and when you're talking about that, I just want to, you know, we've talked about especially having diversity in hockey, and you know, I'm always looking for, like, people are like, well, your family's from Africa, like, why are you guys involved? So, you know, I want to recognize some of these people, like Ruben Nador. You know, I see Nigeria is on the ice, and I see a lot of the Africans directly from Africa in hockey. They came through Canada. So Ruben Nador, Jerome Jinla, Akeem Aliu, and then we know about, you know, they mentioned Graham Fuhrer, but the first 3, these are young men who are Nigerian. And so when I told that to my children, especially my youngest son, I said, you know, we talked about how we're talking about the league in Kenya. We're talking about how, you know, I'm trying to help to find a shipper to get these sticks to kids in Ghana. Shout out to, we have street hockey in Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Wow.
I follow them on Instagram. We follow each other. We follow each other on Facebook. And so they're all intrigued. Right now, I have a parent from my Sierra Leone community who's a fellow nurse who wants to know how can she enroll her daughter in hockey.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you know, so shout out to all our followers, our supporters.
My goodness, but yeah, the names that you list, it makes me think of so many more, which is wonderful. You know, and you know, I think it's when we're in the middle of something, we don't see it happening.
Yeah.
And the game really has a lot of momentum for change.
Yeah.
And not, you know, changing the game itself. It's a wonderful game, but just changing the culture around the game. And we're seeing it right here. This is what breaks down barriers. Is that we have kids from Spanish Harlem skating with kids from West Seneca, New York.
Yeah.
You know, and having a ball, and they're united by the game.
Yeah.
And you know, oh gosh, the wonderful things that have been happening in women's hockey. I'm seeing the pink helmet over here.
And shout out to our coach. We have Coach Ryan here, who was a D1 player in college. I found out, first of all, Ice Hockey in Harlem, most of our coaches were D1 players in their universities. Coach Ryan she's phenomenal. We, just created a new program for 2025 to enrich and to empower girls in hockey. And so thank you, Malik Gavin, our director. Thank you, the board, for supporting that dream. My daughter, they went to LIU recently, PWHL. They were skating with the Women's League. They fuse education, youth, girls, women empowerment on ice. And I think it's just wonderful that, my daughter used to be really timid on ice. And so we've seen her transform. The coaches are like, Amani is doing amazing. And I just congratulate, young girls like her. We have a young coach on her here. Her name is Alice. She was one of our young players. Her family's, I believe, from Russia. And she's now a coach with us. But the coach Ryans, and we have Catherine and Alice's other sister. We have Leah, who's one of our star girl players here, and Allegra, and Aneshka. There's so many amazing kids here. But the girls, shout out to the girls. So even though I was a roller skater, I wasn't an ice hockey player. I got on ice skates about one time, but I am for the sports. I was an athlete myself in high school, so I know what sports can do to kind of, mold and nurture a child, especially for some of these kids. So, I was fortunate. My mom was a single mom. And, we lived in Long Island. We had a good family, good community. Thank God for Milton Hershey, the exposure. Thank God I went to college, strong support, and my support that I got in the Bronx. But not everybody has that opportunity.
Right.
Not everybody has that support. So I know with programs like this, like you mentioned earlier, the kids have something else to focus on after school. Ice Hockey in Harlem, when I'm telling you we were there for hours, 3 days a week, plus 2 games on the weekend, 5 days a week. So we're there, they're feeding us. If people need help and support, services. We were in a building in the Dempsey building, so there's, all kinds of services in the building. I mean, and then the trips that they take you on and the networking with the parents and the coaches is amazing.
Yeah, and just it shows kids that there's a big world out there and that you're part of it.
Yeah.
And that's what's fantastic about this. Now, this has been just about the best interview ever, I gotta say.
You're the best.
Oh, thank you. And we're gonna have other interviews throughout the day. I'm gonna try to get Malik on the headset here, and try to get JJ if JJ's around. And also we've got Matt, who's with the Sabres. He's gonna be here with me for an interview later. And also, then we'll get Dean Barnes and special guest Tony McKegney. Did you know Tony's coming?
No.
Yeah, Tony will be here.
You guys, it's always a surprise. It's always a surprise. And sometimes when I drop names, my teachers or the teacher, like a lot of my kids'
it's
teachers,
amazing the list of people you've met.
They're like, what? First of all, they were like, how your kid knew who Lindquist is, and like the other kids, I'm just like, my kids are hockey players. I've been with them 14, 15 years.
And it's not that big a world. The hockey world is really pretty small. Once you start to make connections and become active in it, it's a wonderful place. And so, and it's,
look at the Lawyers Cup that they do in the city. Lawyers fundraise for hockey program. I mean, it's wild.
What's fun too is that even the people who make it to the highest level stayed just
grounded,
real people, and like I think that's one thing. Maybe hockey isn't as big a celebrity thing as other sports, but holy cow, they are to me. So now again, this was Zainabu
Sesay-Harrell.
so it's Z-A-I-N ABU, Zainabu
Sesay-Harrell,
world's greatest hockey mom.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a break now, and I'm just going to zoom the camera out and let people watch.
And we thank you for your program. Subscribe, and follow, share, and like.